Hello and welcome to This Contains Garlic. You are here with Georgia Garlic
Mark Garlic.
and we are back in a very warm day in a very small room recording for you. If you can hear a fan in the background, it's because it's far too warm in here. So we are here today in the essence of life. I sound like I'm about to start a religious ceremony. Anyway, today, what's up, Mark? What have you been on
I
doing?
think today we are going to be discussing PT red flags or coaching red flags.
Yeah, which I think is actually probably quite a good topic to sort of speak about, like in the sense of it's quite hard this day and age to trust people. I find that we all live like this weird reality that gets shown in so many different ways. And I think the personal training world is a very interesting one, and the coaching world, the online coaching world, is very murky as well. And I think sometimes understanding, the reason I think we're in a position to talk about this is one, because I would very much like to think that we are incredibly reliable and trustworthy trainers, and have been with coaching over the years. And I think we've always put the essence of our clients first. And I think often with personal training is people come into personal training because they think that it's them they're personally training, that that's the
True.
reason why, like it's like they are the person that they are training, when actually personal training is being personal towards a client in
Exactly.
training, not
Yeah.
yourself. And so there are a lot of red flags that then come with that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
And you will find in our industry an immense amount of people who are in very, very good shape but have
Yeah.
no fucking understanding how to help people. And
Yeah. True.
that's, and in every standard as well, if you actually looked at some of the people that help some of the most well-known or influential
Yeah.
or powerful people in the world, it's
Mm.
I'm almost a bit like, wow, like could I
Mm.
judge you based off of who you've actually chosen to, to help you?
Yeah.
Like, because wouldn't you see it, you've seen it in years, like years and years and years of just people really just never putting the client first, but that is our job.
Yeah. It's a very strange conundrum that persists in the industry. I think it's usually, and I hate to make stereotypes, but most of the time quite vain people that just like to exercise and find exercise quite fun, so then they like to dabble in personal training. But I do think the industry is shifting where you do see some um, and a better personal training, that it's evolving, but it's definitely lagging in certain areas
No,
where
I would disagree with you. I think we've seen a massive uprise in fuckery. I think we've always had an industry which is questionable to say the
okay
least. And if you're a high performing coach or trainer, you would agree with the fact that
okay, let me clarify that a little bit better. I think that the people that are better, or the people that have a keen interest in improving themselves, have gotten better, but the barriers to entry
are far too low.
somehow have got even lower and lower, even from when we first started within the industry, which has then increased the amount of shithousery from your average either online coach that is just good at marketing but doesn't necessarily have the experience when it comes to the nuances of the business, like exercise selection or actually helping people navigate their day-to-day existence as a
But
working
I think where it's
professionals
got a
or
little bit shitty is one, obviously, you could say that yes, there are people that are just not educated enough to be then advising people on a number of different things. There is also what I always say, which is the responsibility with the client as well. Clients have to understand where there's boundaries with trainers, and if you are qualified or able to give out, for example, nutritional advice because you have the backing to do so, i.e., the qualifications and the experience to do so, there is often an assumption from a client's point of view that you're going to a personal trainer to help you lose weight, okay?
True.
But actually, the losing weight is not coming down to the exercise part.
True.
The losing weight's coming down to the nutritional part, all the self-care alongside it.
100%.
And commonly the expectations then on the trainer to then sort of scurry around going, oh shit, well, if the client's not going to sign with me or work with me if we don't lose weight here. And suddenly these people who are actually taken through very basic 6-week courses, because that really is the standard as a PT, you know, where they're just told, hey, this is how you do a lat pull down, this is how you safely do it with somebody, is now trying to navigate Sandra losing 25 kilos who turns up once per week, and then the expectation is for them to do that.
I would love
so there
to.
is that mix that I think where you can't have, you know, but PTs, there are one thing that I have seen and heard a lot recently, and it never really happens with in-person clients, but it happens that we hear a lot with online clients, is people going into the gym, doing their training sessions and getting unsolicited advice from other people like personal trainers in the gym or trainers that want to secure the bag, and they come up to them and they say, I'll never forget one client who said to us that this guy came up to her and said, I've seen you've been doing this now for 6 weeks, and if I'm going to be honest with you, I don't see any physical change. So I suggest that you start running on the treadmill and following my program, and you know you'll start to see a fat loss result. And so one, our client was made to take her headphones out. Do you know what I mean? Number one, never make people do that for no reason in a gym. Like, you should know why they're in there. 2, you have just gone and told somebody that you have observed them. You're a trainer, okay? You're there to help people. You're there to guide them through this. And you've put that person down to this smallest speck of shit on your shoe, do you know what I mean? In order to try and think that you're entitled enough to get that client and your idea is better. Instead, if you're wanting to snake somebody out or to take a client, you go in an approach that actually helps the individual, not then puts them in a position where they feel so judged and attacked.
A lot of this industry is so ego-driven, though, isn't it?
Oh God, it's painful. Like, let's all talk about when I was first integrated. I've literally only ever worked for myself in this industry. Mark, not so much, but you know, you've worked, like, in the sense of, like, I've worked for myself. I've built my own business within this industry. I've obviously worked in many establishments in the sense of under my own business, but there was one time, fucking hell, do you know what I mean? But karma's come back round, so you know, it's
I was
good.
hoping you're going to talk about this.
I knew it's karma has come back round, and that's why it's now a good time to talk about it. The 7-year cycle is fucking hit. Not let alone, I think, was paying at the time something like 1,500, maybe $2,000 a month in rent, okay, to just literally just be in existence in this place a couple of hours a day alongside everywhere else I had to be. One of the gym owners was like, Mark finds it so funny, but actually I don't think many women are going to find this funny. You're angry. You let it happen. You let it happen because you're a wet lettuce. You're a wet lettuce.
You see how you're trying to antagonize
Well, you're
me?
laughing.
But what you need to do, Georgia, is you need to turn inwards and ask yourself, why do you try and strike out?
Why are you laughing is why I'm also questioning you. So why don't you turn inwards and realise that? I was taken, I asked, hey, like, I'm really interested in being in this space, whatever. I was literally one of the only female trainers. It was very male orientated. This guy said to me, okay, cool, like, I'll rent the space to you, but I need to take you through like a booty banded workout first. I'm not fucking joking. I laugh now because I'm like, if I had got if that man would come up right now, I would fucking, oh my God, he'd be in a headlock. He'd be dead. God. Like, he'd be
that would be so good.
Anyway, let me talk about what that's entailed, okay, in a PT world to another personal trainer. And he obviously was a personal trainer, but he didn't even own the gym. He was heavily fucking inflated with debts and all the rest of it, but whatever. He decided every single rep I performed, every single rep. So imagine this guy clicking his fucking finger between every rep. Never forget that. The click of the fucking finger.
What did explain to everyone what he looks like, though?
No,
Not that it doesn't look like, but the
booty
ironic.
banded workout, for those that don't know, requires quite a lot of fatigue. It's a lot of reps, okay? So put this into context. Every single fucking rep I did, he smacked my ass. And there we go. Do you know what? Mark's there sniggering. Do you know what I mean? And that was my entry in, do you know what I mean, to being like, yo, I just fucking love being around personal trainers. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And, you know, it's only taken till probably where
you just went to a shit place. You know what I mean? You've been around personal trainers when we were at Lomax and everyone was, I guess, I can't say the most professional we've ever been, because that's how you and I met, and I didn't act very professional around you, but we did have a very good standard of personal training and had a very good reputation.
Yeah, but what happens with every space, and the reason why
but
it's
then
not
you just
open
go
is
to a
because
space full of crackheads, which unfortunately the vast majority of these places are just really sweaty, perverted men that just want to, basically finger women at any given opportunity.
No, I think that's a very big statement to make. Not every.
Oh, Georgia, the guy
Let's talk
low
about
grade
trainers,
sexually assaulted you.
Yeah, okay, Mark, which you found really entertaining.
I know.
So
I'm not. I just, I was laughing because of how karma came back to bite him in the arse eventually.
Eventually, I always was waiting until fucking it would happen, and it has now. But that's onwards and upwards. But I think it's not just men in this industry that can give PT flack. It's also women. I think there's also, like I always say, I think exercise has been completely inundated with weight loss, and like that's really skewed like how our industry really does perform with clients, because as I said to you, like there's always this assumption where you're going to exercise to lose weight. There's very rarely an assumption. If you go and speak to your mate and you're like, oh, I'm going down the gym 3 times with a trainer, they're like, oh, what, you're trying to get in shape? It's never a thing that's like, oh wait, you're going there to work on your mobility and get stronger. No, most of the time it's like, oh, you're going to get in shape. And so there is also this thing with PTs where, like, with women, I don't know, like, that's also quite a toxic environment, I think. I find a lot of female trainers that are amongst those, I don't know, why do you laugh?
No,
Why?
I'm just thinking of...
You're just thinking of
I'm just trying to think of just the very political way of saying this. The vast majority, unfortunately, the thing with female trainers is a good female trainer is, and I've said this since day one, worth, 1,000,000 to 1 male trainers in that sense.
Yeah, I totally agree.
In that kind of sense, but to be blessed upon a good female personal trainer that not only has the banter, not that you need banter, but makes the sessions enjoyable, makes the sessions logical, builds the relationship, but actually trains them logically, and it's not just booty bands and just junk volume and weird exercise selection and combination exercises.
Or commonly you see a lot of female
just
trainers put their clients through what they train like.
Just
and then they're
utter
like, you
dog
do that
shit.
as well. And it's like you're watching these people crumble in a back squat with a, and
no consideration for form or technique or execution. It is quite literally and sadly just dog shit. So when you do actually see a really good female trainer, it is like being blessed upon a unicorn.
Know, like a few that I would be very, say, very highly regarded, and they know their shit in the sense of training. Like, but it is one of those things where I think it's quite easy in our PT world to just be that gym girl brunch vibes. Do you know what I mean? With like, let's all just storm around London and have.
I thought that was a dying breed, though.
What? I mean, it's not a dying breed. It's something that I find is still an attractive. It shows wellness. You know what I mean? The wellness girl. The somebody that like just sort of entertains the fact that they're maybe quite attractive and like a well-being routine, and suddenly then
Yeah, but is that still influential?
massively so. That's literally
Well,
what our whole like girl routine is. Women, you know what I mean? It's just being sold one
I thought it
beauty
would
thing
be
after
slightly
the
more
next.
slightly more like than just superficial, like super, like I thought it would need to be a little bit deeper for a woman to be influenced, or is
What,
it just?
what do you mean deeper for a woman to
Well,
be
it's just like
influenced?
that whole like brunch girl that just flouts about and just does bits and bobs here and there. Like I find that.
Well, I literally told you the other day that like I know of a trainer who like won't do more than 8 hours of in-person work a week. Like what? Like sorry, but like 8 hours, like that's literally one day. Like I don't understand. Like you don't want
And
to
what's the
strive for
logic
anything
before
more.
that? What's the
Don't
logic?
know. Just doesn't want any more than that.
But
But then
is
I kind of
there
think
a
like, what are you doing?
supporting business with regards to an online? Is there?
I think look, when we look at personal training, we've got to really distinguish between coaching, training, turning up to a gym session, a gym instructor, a this and a that. Like, you know, where we fall into the line is that we personally coach people. Okay, so through a lot, so your whole body. It's not just like your whole body in the sense of you doing exercise. We're talking a full body approach from your brain, your body, the way that you move, the way you think, what you eat, you know, how you behave. Like we cover it all. So if you're trying to look at that level, like in your average trainer, you're not necessarily going to find it there, because they're there because they really like exercise perhaps, and they like movement and sporting. There's a lot of guys, for example, male trainers who are obviously work in the sporting, you know, sports performance and all the rest of it, who have a very target orientated sort of industry. But if we're talking like your general PT, you know, I have a client who has a brain tumor, and the last trainer she went to, and this is, I'm not lying to you, okay, was getting the woman like 3 weeks post surgery into a renegade row. Put that into context, is somebody that's
Yeah.
had brain surgery 2 times, same location, pressure,
Yeah, blood
brain.
pressure
Okay.
right into your head.
One, you know, can't even get to business, and then decides to put somebody upside down. Not only that, let's work on stability and put you on a Bosu ball. That is one thing I will to this day think is illogical when people don't have joint stability. I get the fact
There
you're
we
trying to
go.
build stability in the fucking joints.
Again,
But if you don't have stability, why then put somebody on an unstable surface to try and find that stability? Why don't you take them through a movement where they can bend both legs perhaps in a stable way? I don't understand. Like, I mean, you could argue this, I don't know, but I think if you...
No, it's the shittest, and like I was about to say, that leads us to our first red flag. If you're standing on a Bosu ball upside down with your personal trainer, you need to
Get rid of.
probably, question your relationship with them, and it's just logical because I think when your foot comes into contact with, I don't know, the ground, most of the time it is a stable surface, depending on the incline, that could be questioned, but very rarely are you traversing across this conscious experience on a bouncy ball.
Exactly the same
So
as
it
when
literally makes no logical sense.
making somebody do something like an overhead lunge, you know what I mean? Okay, most people in this day and age, when we're like prawns at desks, don't even have the ability to lift our hands past our ears, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Okay?
and
Now you're then going to make them do a lunge, which is a unilateral, unstable, usually dependent on you having some sort of strength and stability and ability to push yourself up. And then you're doing an overhead with a weight, do you know what I mean, or a plate or whatever it is. And you're just like, it's like a topple down effect, exactly the same. Another PT red flag. The amount of times I have heard in the gym, ow, my back, okay? And you turn around, you go, I wonder what that is. Let me blindfold you and I'm going to do a test, okay? I'm going to bet you anything, 10 times out of 10, it will either be somebody fucking pulling a deadlift like they're having a shit, or, okay, it will be a back squat when some personal trainer has loaded the poor little back of an individual that sits at a desk 10 hours a day, okay, and is trying to back squat with two 20-kilo plates, and ow, my back, and that client is then off the gym for 4 weeks. And that's a red flag. You want to make money, okay? You're not going to get money and a retention as a business, as a personal trainer, if you keep on injuring the person, unless, and I will say this is maybe a bit of a side hustle, unless you've got the way to fix it, and that's your whole aim. You just break people and then fix them, and that's your way you retain them. But you know,
that is sadly some way some people have been leading their life when it comes to exercise selection and making sure that they don't pick the right exercises for their clients, and are very dogmatic in their own personal opinions that are attached to specific exercises, and drag those dogmatic views into their personal training sessions and literally break people in half. And I've seen that firsthand, where you have, and so have you, Georgia, where the personal trainer himself is a power lifter. So guess whose clients are benching, squatting, and deadlifting, 3 times a week, 5 by 5, the same thing over and over and over again, purely based off the personal trainer's love for powerlifting. And it was one size fits all. It was like, hi, my name's Dennis and I'm 95 years old. Well, Dennis, welcome. 5 sets of 5 flat bench, here we go. Then you're going to deadlift, then you're going to squat. We're going to do that for the rest of your life.
And then when you go and play tennis at midday with your wife, your tennis elbow is going to be so extreme, do you know what I mean, that you can't even play. You get disheartened, and then your whole routine gets dismantled based off the fact that your trainer can't program properly.
And it's just...
You don't think of it like that, but if you actually injure somebody, or you don't do something properly, you're literally fucking up not only their day, potentially their week. There's plenty of people that have gone for manipulations in chiropractor. I'm not going to say my word on this, but I fucking can't stand them, okay? Osteo's great. Chiropractors, I just think you're clicking things that should not be clicked. You know what I mean? Just please leave it for some people. We have got clients who have literally been disabled by chiropractors. Do you know what I mean? Mark, you've got a client.
Yeah, loads of... I've had quite a few over the years, and it's again, I don't want to get into the semantics of it, but again, just all you need to do is a quick Google search of the origin of chiropractics, read the origin story, and then make up your own mind on whether or not you want to go and throw money at that and get contorted and twisted into. That being said, side note, I do have somewhat of a love for watching the videos on social media.
Well, like being clicked, I get that, but like not to the point where your clients are then put into literal positions.
Because there is one guy, and I know this sounds terrible, but there's one guy who goes around, and he's in America, and he's based in LA, and he goes to Skid Row where all like the crack addicts are. And he gets his table out and he cracks these dudes' necks, whilst I'm like,
okay, I don't know
what are we doing here?
I think, what are you doing with your time is what I would like to ask you.
Why would he be cracking like a fentanyl?
They're probably in so much pain being curled up in a ball. Like we saw that guy outside Victoria Station with his legs elevated. I did think, wow, it's probably really good for your circulation. But he was literally like half against the wall. Like it was the most bizarre
like
position.
A pretzel, and you think some yogis would aspire for that flexibility.
But
and that guy is he's not only is he twisted in that position over backwards, he's fast asleep.
Can we get back to the PT red flag? The reason it's linking back to something like a chiropractor, or the fact is that a PT can ruin you, the same as like going for a therapy and they do something wrong and you end up in a position where you've then got sciatica for the next fucking 14 days of and then that stops you being able to get in the car, do you know what I mean, and get to the supermarket, and you're taking painkillers, and then that offsets your diet, and then suddenly you feel bloated. And this is what I mean about the fact that everyone thinks it's just a small thing, but there's such a domino effect in being a very good trainer or not, because when you're spending personal time with people, a lot of people do not spend one-to-one time with somebody like they do with a trainer. Mike, end of. You're not spending
true.
60 whole minutes with the same people necessarily talking. Yeah, okay, you've got your work colleagues, but that's work. And your own personal time turning inwards. So that is something you have to always take into consideration when you're training people. I just think that the programming of these people is that, one, maybe it comes down to how we're actually taught, and then also the standards of, like if I owned a place, and I can talk, like, because we have owned a facility and we were to hire and have people there, I can assure you, do you know what I mean, they'd be all taught under the standards and the values of our business and how we train. They would not be allowed to be under the roof representing a name of a business, do you know what I mean, a brand, just being a shit trainer.
All it takes is just leveling people up in a very simple way that doesn't complicate things, and would take you literally like 10 hours to be able to fundamentally get somebody to a position where they can continue to learn more, and that, at the end of the day, how have we obtained the kind of principles that we apply to our clients, and that comes down to obviously added education and a lot of experience when you troubleshoot with clients on a day-to-day basis, but also back that up by all the further education that we have both done with regards to nutrition, with regards to biomechanics, that
But
needs to be done.
I think you're very hot. I think education is so key to have the primary foundation, but I think you also have to have a brain on you to understand that if you want to be in a 5-star position, and what I mean by that is if you looked across the world and you were to say 5-star service, do you know what I mean, and you were to give somebody 5-star results or 5-star whatever it is, if you want to match that level, you want to be paid the premiums, do you know what I mean, regularly on as a personal trainer or as a coach or whatever, you've got to be willing to go above the ordinary,
Yeah, of course.
and that is really prominent in personal training. Like, I have been in situations, do you know what I mean, navigating things that I have never navigated before, and have been thrown very much into it with client relationships, and it's either you sink or you swim, but that's what literally develops the relationship going forward. And people very much underestimate the relationships you have with your clients, but you will see your clients through, if you're a good through every phase of life, through all these different things that happen in their life. You're with them, present effectively with that one-to-one time. So it is invaluable. And I think when we look at PT, red flag, like, I think the standard is so, you think it's improved, I'd say in certain places, in certain locations, it's okay. But I still see the standard of the fact that if you're a personal trainer and you can't even smile, do you know what I mean, at your commute, like your surroundings, and you can't, like, that's not personal.
It traverses outside of the gym floor as well, and that is so many things that require for you to be switched on and engaged and active in a client's life, and listening and attentive, and remember what they say, and ask questions, and refer back to people by name, and remember dates, and turn up on time, and be, like Georgia said, be happy, because again, people are paying for a specific service, and the PTs that bring all their, there's a certain level of clients obviously care about your well-being and want to know what's going on in your life and how things, manifest, and how you kind of handle your own personal grievances. But, when people literally bring their fucking baggage onto the gym floor and are grumpy because they're upset, and it makes their clients feel awkward and things like that, that kind of standard is something that persists, and something that definitely needs to, again,
it's
we wouldn't...
It's a service job, and if you do any kind of service, like, that customer service is key, and, like, whether or not you like it or not, the customer's always right, and it's like, it's not necessarily to say that what they're saying literally is correct, but in the way that maybe there is something that maybe they need to navigate. Like, there has been times that obviously you have mistakes made, or like, I don't know, issues or whatever it is, as like whilst you're growing as a business or as a person. But I think it's one of those situations where I'd like, the responsibility is on you to provide a level of customer service that makes somebody, and fix up, look sharp
There's
situation.
nothing more
Like,
soul destroying than watching a person come in on quite a good energy, and but just because their trainer's just not in the mood, just absolutely zap that and just make it super
well,
awkward.
again, we could talk about a red flag being the impatience of people. So usually you would say that a lot of clients are quite impatient to wanting to see results, or
Sure.
wanting to learn, or wanting to do this, or wanting to, it is quite impatient. Our industry is fairly impatient overall.
Yeah.
But I do think that sort of, I don't know, not being able to guide somebody through something without losing your tether. The amount of people that say you must have a lot of patience. I don't have a lot of patience in some things, I can assure you that. But in the sense of like taking people through, because I'm like, let's think about this logically. Like, if somebody's never done this, how can we speak this through with somebody? But if you're going to stand there and you're going to try and teach, for example, you want your friends to do your clients to come in, and you want to do the 5x5, and you want to deadlift, you want to do that, but you're unwilling to even be able to teach them how to do it, maybe build their confidence doing it. They're constantly, like, it's not really showing progressive signs on your behalf. And like, your job really is to make people healthier and happier. That doesn't scream your job is to make people lose weight or to do it. No, it's to make them healthier and happier, and to feel like they've got something as part of a routine. And and if you are unwilling to to learn through the process, and to experience things and then learn from those experiences and delve into it, then you're going to be in a position where you're probably unlikely to be able to retain client relationships, or you're just not going to be the standard that the one you expect in your head, which is also but PT, there is a number of issues when I think you get personal help. And I think it always comes down to the personality of the person. A lot of times people have personal trainers not necessarily actually to be like amazing at exercise. A lot of time people have personal trainers to have that one-on-one time with somebody, where it's not therapy, they're getting something done, they've got the endorphins.
Yeah, of course.
And it makes them feel good.
Yeah.
So we know a few trainers that if we actually looked at their clients and how those clients are actually progressing or performing, you'd say probably not great, but are they having a good time? Yes. So like, then you kind of be like, well, what's the harm? But then I would still say that you could still try. Like, a lot of personal trainers are very stuck in their ways. Like, you've got to be fresh. You've got to know.
That's a very interesting conversation to have, because what happens if that person is just very happy with the relationship with the trainer? They see themselves, they're exercising, they're staying consistent because they're training with that trainer. Maybe they're not necessarily chasing massive weight loss goals. Do you think that trainer has a obligation to consistently push a quote-unquote result, or are they quite happy to just be very happy with the retention?
I don't think we need to always push results onto people. I think that's a bit weird, but I think if you're going to see return for your investment in anything, and that's not just saying like financially, I'm talking like actual physical or like mental return, on your investment, then you're going to have to produce some kind of result to do that. Like, somebody's going to have to feel a bit stronger, or they're going to have to feel a little bit more comfortable in something, or they're going to have to have seen a little bit of progress on the scales. But then I always think that, the gym and like personal training, like I say, is just so linked to losing weight. And like, you only get a trainer to lose weight, or you only get a trainer to get in shape. And it's actually really skewed as I said, the need and the want and the driving factor towards a lot of things. And as I said, a lot of people have got a lot of responsibilities thrown onto them and are not necessarily qualified to do so. And nor should there be the expectation, like I said. But maybe if there was, I don't know, like less, I don't know, exercise and lifting weights or whatever,
Yeah.
it's changes your body shape, of course.
Sure.
But I do think that there is this foundational assumption that just going and training, I don't know, 2-3 times a week will warrant. I don't know. I think, as you said, I think.
Because I'm just going to take a side caveat here, which I want your opinion on. But I do see a lot of trainers that don't train their clients hard enough. So maybe they are going through the right exercises, but the rate of perceived exertion is not adequate for adaptation.
Depends what the goal is, if you're dealing with, I'm sure.
Well, let's assume the person wants to get stronger and wants to see an improvement in their body composition. What science and experience both tell us that we need to then obviously have a certain level of intensity, which is not necessarily seen in specific sessions. Do you think, I want to know your opinion, do you think that is a red flag in its own right, or do you think...
I don't think that we, as a bird's eye view, can take that judgment unless we had the clients of that trainer say to you, I'm not seeing results. And the reason I say that is that we have definitely got clients, and we've had clients, and we've worked with many different people who are at different levels and different moods and different wants and different needs. And that's because our service, for example, we take a very bespoke approach to it. So if a client doesn't really enjoy something, we're going to clock onto that and say, well, we're not going to just force you to do something you don't enjoy. We will try and find something that you still need to do, that maybe movement or whatever, but we'll find an exercise which you do like doing. And sometimes if you looked at it from an outer, a perspective from somebody else, you might say, oh, that person's doing fuck all. Do you know what I mean? But actually, that could be quite a lot for them. That could be progress from the last 4 weeks. They could have seen that progress, and you haven't seen that. So what we're looking at is that looks a bit lazy. The trainer's not really training them hard.
Yeah.
But what's quantified? I've got clients, as I said, who have got brain tumours, that have gone through cancer, that have unable, you've got rehabilitation clients, car accidents, you name it. Everyone's at a different level, so then it's a different rate of perceived exertion. I think you can only make that judgment if somebody turns around to you and says, I'm training with so-and-so, doing it for ages, and I'm seeing no return. Okay. And then you're like, okay, cool, it's because you're not training hard enough. But
okay, I need to change my perspective then.
Well, it's what you see via your lens is what your perspective. It's not anybody else's. Your perception is like, when somebody says, "Oh, you see something, see straight through something." It's no, you see it for what it is in your eyes. It's like you're not seeing through anything. Okay. You just see. So I think yes, of course, there are plenty. There's some people that I think get trained too hard. Everything's just like a constant go, and there's no thought process, and it's just throwing people on the floor and get up and. There's also that thing of, just taking people on endless runs, and it's quite exhausting. And I do come across a lot of people over my career who really don't like exercise because of what some trainers have done.
That's so true.
Like I was scarred for life as a child with a personal trainer, because every personal trainer I had growing up was the type of trainer that would lift the side of their t-shirt up and show half their six-pack. It would be like an 8-pack, with the V-line, and they would lift it up in the mirror, just the half part, do you know what I mean, just to check that they still had a belly button.
Imagine doing that in front of a child.
But seriously, the type of trainers that used to they were sort of men's health magazine wannabes. They would lift half the t-shirt up, check the belly button still there, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Make sure that everyone in the gym had seen that side oblique abdomen under the right lighting, just to check they're still alive.
Would
and
you
then
say...
the t-shirt would go back down. That was what I was brought into. It was also brought... So I think, when it comes to, dealing with that kind of person, I was literally scarred for life from exercise, because I was made to... every session just run for fucking miles. It would be like Sunday, we're going on a 9-mile up, and you'd just be like, oh my god, please, I really hate this. I used to get runner's shits from just nerves, do you know what I mean? Because I'd be like, oh my god, I've got to do this again. I hated it. I was actually quite good at running. I'm actually quite good at running. If
you
I put
are
my
quite
mind
good,
to
yeah.
it, I'd be actually quite I just don't like it enough to do it. I find it incredibly fatiguing
Yeah.
my body, and I'm strong as fuck, so I just like to utilise that. So that's my principles as to why. But I just, if that was how I was brought into exercise, was just punishment. Do you know what I mean? It was like that constant thing. And he used to run next to me and he said, "Did you eat any carbs after 5?" And I'd be like, "Fuck yeah." Do you know what I mean? No.
Loads.
Like literally, I used to eat all the carbs after 5.
Really?
He was the guy that told me all of these things. So coming on to another PT red flag
Yeah.
is the wrong advice.
The wrong
Why
advice.
are you pushing things onto your clients that you
Yeah.
absolutely
Naughty
just know
boy
is a load of
or girl.
bollocks?
Because they think it's right. That's why.
No, but it's like trying to push like just shitty supplements or a shitty thought process behind something, a really biased opinion.
Because they
on
think it's
something.
right. They don't think it's shitty. They think it's right. They think it's the right way to go. They're thinking that by it working for them, it's going to work for everyone else and work for their clients. And that we've seen that permeate through the industry as a whole. Like entire markets and industries have been formed of people that have been somewhat uninformed, but it's kind of worked for me and I'm genetically gifted, so it's going to work for you. Lol, surprise, it's not.
Yeah, I know they still make loads of money, but
Which is again, like it traverses.
You've
We've
said
talked
traverse,
this.
sorry, but you've said traverse. I would actually like to go back and clip this podcast myself, and I can guarantee that you've said traverse in 4 to 5 different scenarios.
Fantastic.
So
I'm trying to
traverse in
use.
range of motion,
I'm trying
traverse in
to-
moving across, traverse.
I'm trying to broaden my vocabulary so I can
No, but
be
you're clearly
eloquent.
just trying to speak the hind legs off a fucking donkey to somebody
That
that wants
is
to hear
quite
about
rich
fucking
coming from you.
rehabilitation. Mark, you can literally.
That
like,
is the pot
quadra
calling
slumber.
the. That is the kettle
We
calling the pot
hosted
black.
a workshop this couple of weeks ago.
I've
And
never seen you
there is
so
a snippet,
excited.
There's a snippet that's been
You're
recorded.
so happy whenever you trying to just shoot me down. I've never
How
seen
much
you
is it?
smile so much when you're like, yeah, I'm going to shoot him down now. Carry on.
I'm
Well,
not,
tell
what
the
am I shooting
story.
you down about?
Tell the story.
The fact that you agreed with me.
It was quite funny.
There was literally a part of the workshop where Mark just started it was like word vomit about biomechanics, and I literally, and we've got mics on because obviously all of us have been recording, I literally was just like, stop it, enough, enough, that's it, enough. Do you know what I mean? Like literally, like on the mic, and I'm not sure anyone else could hear it. I just was telling it to Mark.
No, Richard
And
could. He was laughing in the background.
because it was just,
You said nobody's going to die. And
because you said
you
something that
just
was ridiculous, and I'm going to put the
interrupted me,
snippet
and
up.
you
It
went,
was like,
nobody's going to
and
die.
this movement, it got so deep that in this movement of Mark explaining that he said that something that was vital to carry oxygen, something around the body, and I just turned to him, I just was like, nobody's gonna fucking die. Do you know what I mean? Like, what on earth are you going on about here? Like, you've literally lost people with your fucking vital transportation
You don't know
of
that.
certain hemoglobin.
You
like,
don't know that. They could be gaining vital knowledge for pub
Vital?
quizzes,
Traverse.
traversing, go to dinner and drop some knowledge bombs on people.
Sorry.
And be like, sorry, Susan, it's not actually your glute, it's your quadratus lumborum.
But you'd have to really make obvious where that was, and all you were doing was speaking about it. Like certain people that I know that I've trained don't even know where their
Georgia.
hamstring
I wish
is.
if I could change my personality, I probably would.
Would you?
I would. I'd change my name because I
Why
don't
don't you
really
go
like my name.
self-reflect and take yourself through therapy? I think you really should go through therapy.
Yeah, I've said this numerous times.
why
I
don't you
was just
go?
clipping because I've got people
'Cause-
to help.
Because you're putting everyone else before yourself.
Precisely.
I think a lot of people should go through a stint of therapy, not because you need to know how you feel, but it's also just how you respond to certain situations and then understand yourself better.
I would like to know why.
You need to be way more self-aware.
I know. I do agree with you.
Not to the point where you need to be like ridiculously like neurotic on things, but I do think that sometimes there is a lot of deflecting. There's a lot of deflecting in Mark's behaviour.
Is there?
There's a lot of deflecting. We have this. There's a lot of deflecting.
I'd love for you.
Traversing.
I'd
There's
love
a
for you
lot-
to expand on that.
What? So as we traverse through this relationship.
You got very strong opinions on me.
I said you occasionally have deflecting moments. The same
Please
as
expand
I
on
have
that.
irate moments and rude moments.
Just expand on that. You
I
can't
don't
just
think we
go.
need to expand on our traumas, Mark. Do you know what I
There's
mean?
no traumas.
Well, if you'd like, well, we're going to have to go into the deep personal talks of what we've had then.
Like what?
Because you weren't listening. Because your vital traverse oxygen, hemoglobin, goblin, fucking squat, lateral side plank, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is not functioning properly.
No, I would agree with you on that as well.
But that's literally it. Like, that's what it sounds like. What I just said to somebody trying to explain biomechanics, by the way.
Well, what can I say to that apart from like I said, if
Apart
I could
from the fact that
change
we
my
took the
personality,
car,
I would.
how many times
Like
to the
if I
mechanic
was-
to only realise that both the oils just needed to be topped
You know,
up.
if I could be a lot more charismatic and funny, then I would be.
No, because a lot of the time comedy is just a way of deflecting your problems. Do you know what I
That's
mean?
all.
Like
People have always had more sparkling personality. I've never really been known for my personality, apart from being a kind person.
well, that's the personality trait. You don't have to always be a personality to have a personality. You know what I mean? That's your own way. Like, being louder is not always better in any way. A lot of people just want you to shut the fuck up.
Exactly, and I'm very good at that.
I'm actually, funny enough, on a podcast great because I'm sat next to you, or you know, on a microphone, quite in a very comfortable state. But I don't actually speak that much during the day. I don't. Unless I'm with clients, like I'll speak. But like I don't. Like can keep myself very quiet. I quite
Yeah, but if
enjoy
you're
it.
not with clients and you're not with me, who else would you be speaking to? Just
Oh my god, it
for-
could be my friends. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, I know, but like who?
weird. There was a
No,
controlling
but like, no,
element
just
to the
saying,
relationship.
like outside of you do speak to your friends, though.
Then I can be asked. Yeah, like,
you
it's
do.
just, I don't really need to.
you
I
speak
just
to-
don't really need to have continual conversations with
Your
people.
family WhatsApp group is
No.
popping off every day.
No, it's not.
No?
No, it's not. The last time we messaged, I sent a message of a sultana finger. By the way, if you don't know what those are, those sponge cake
Yeah.
things from France that I
Yeah.
used to have as a child, and I bought some the other
From
day,
France.
and I sent. Shut up, Mark.
From France.
Oh God, you're such bellend. So I sent my fingers, do you know what I mean, to the family WhatsApp group, and I realised the last thing that was sent
Yeah.
was like well over like 6 weeks ago.
1 or 2 fingers.
Oh, Mark, it depends who's doing it. But when it comes to sultana fingers, it's not just 1 or 2, it's 5 or 6, 7 or 8, 9, 10, the whole package.
5 is going to be a bit tricky.
Well, now you've got a new wedding ring. I hope that doesn't get lost.
Yes, it's someone's grandfather's, so I wonder who wore it. Maybe I'm going to be possessed
Oh my
by
God,
them.
Are you joking? You
No,
bought
it's
a dead
vintage.
person's ring.
Maybe.
So the other day, Mark's been wanting to get a new wedding ring. Okay.
Yeah.
Put it into context, when we got married, Mark lost his wedding ring that was a lovely, beautiful, platinum made, fucking cost a fortune. He lost it 2 days after the wedding.
Yeah.
I think it was even the day after. I don't think it was even 2 days.
Yeah.
So then went to a random jeweller shop in Cape Town and ended up coming out with an African wood white gold combination.
Yeah.
Which kind of looks like an aura ring mix with some kind of vibe.
But it's got a lot of significant value.
What?
It has a lot of significant value.
Why? Because it's African
Couple
wood.
of things. African wood. And I've always got
Wood?
hard wood for you.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
You know?
Oh, God, Mark. Why did you have to say that?
It's true, though.
Oh, stop it. I mean, it's not appropriate. Anyway, last few days ago, Mark, we were in the conversation of getting another ring made for Mark, and then we just, I guess sometimes one of those things when you don't really need something, but you really, you like it, you just entertain it, you're like, oh, I'll get a quote, oh, that's a good idea. But until you do something like lose it, I don't know, like, do you actually do something about it? And so Mark the other day left his ring in the gym and he was like, that's it, Mark's literally admiring his ring, right?
It's nice.
It's nice.
Yeah.
In the gym, and then we went frantically around every jeweller's shop in fucking Guildford the other day, trying to find Mark a ring in his size, which obviously you know, big hands.
Fat fingers.
Mark says fat fingers. I'm trying to compliment you there.
Yeah, fat fingers.
Actually, your hands are not that big, but like.
No, my hands are small. My fingers are quite fat.
Okay, your hands are not that small. Otherwise, I wouldn't marry you because that would be weird.
No, I haven't got small hands, but I would personally like bigger hands.
Okay, because you could lift more weight.
Yeah.
I've got big hands.
If I could drastically change something about my body, it would be my forearms and my hands.
Really?
Yeah.
So what about your feet? You'd look out of proportion then.
But I'd have shoes on.
Oh, okay, but you don't want long, spindly fingers.
No, I want like really like sausage roll fingers.
Oh, you're
strong
disgusting.
fingers,
What the
though.
Strong fingers. That
Yeah.
screams Greg's too often.
No, not Prince Charles. I want like.
His
I
name's
want like. Oh, fuck, whatever. Sorry, King. I'd take that
Sorry,
back.
King.
He's probably listening to that.
Yeah, you're probably listening to this.
Paul's listening to that. Get off the line, Paul.
Stop.
I would want them to look like an arm wrestler's hands and
Okay,
forearms.
well, you've got weird things that
Like
you like.
Popeye forearms, massive, disproportionate.
Okay, well, long story short, we went round all the jewellers and nobody had the size of ring available instantly. And I said to Mark, don't panic, but we are going to your fucking you're a groomsman at wedding of our best friends in the next week. If you're not wearing a wedding ring, well, it's just not going to look really that great in the photos of us. Do you know what I mean? It's going to look like your mum's going to question. We've got problems, you know.
Get the marriage
Carol's gonna
counsellor
say,
out.
where's Mark's wedding ring? This is a fake photo. You've AI'd this. This is deep fake. Have you signed up to the free mobile? It's fucking. And so. No, but you fucking know. There'll be one photo that's taken, you reaching in to get a cornetto or something, and she'd notice that you weren't wearing a ring, and that would be it.
She's very observant.
She's very observant, exactly. So I said, you do need to probably sort a ring if it's lost. Anyway, in the process, we see the fact that the gym does have the ring.
Of course.
But then Mark's reordered a vintage gold ring, to be fair,
Yeah.
because we've realised, I've always been told this, older gold is better. It's far better. It looks nicer as well.
So this is 35% clarity gold, 1987.
Oh, not 88. That's a shame.
1987, manufactured in London, hallmarked SJ, which means that there's I can't.
This is what I mean. This is why I said to you enough at the workshop. I said, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah. So I wonder whose ring this was.
I just hope it wasn't taken off like one of those corpses whilst they died. But even so, vintage is that, at the end of the day.
Don't go, Grandad. Sell my ring.
On eBay. Where's my card?
Whatever you do, don't sell my precious ring on eBay.
Right, that's the grandchildren for you. Do you know what I mean? That inflation's hitting hard.
We're off to Thailand.
We're off to Thailand.
All right, for your Granddad. Yeah.
Anyway, it's a really nice ring, actually.
Yeah, it is actually.
So
really
now
nice.
You've got 2 rings. We've got the other one back from the gym.
Yeah, so that maybe goes around my neck.
Oh my God, that's as bad as a shark tooth. Like, sorry, that is so African to get it.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, no, you're not
so
putting that.
You can just always look at my hardwood.
Oh God, Mark, your aura around you is just so hard. Literally.
I would agree with you.
I would agree with you.
I hope your mother's not listening to this.
What do you mean, my mother?
Yeah.
Why do you think of my mother when we say that?
She hopes she's not listening to this.
Yeah, but why do you think about that?
Because it's sexual innuendos.
Yeah, but you don't need to spell it out to me. I'm aware of that. That's
well,
the
you've
reason why.
asked me why, so I'm just explaining why.
But what are we up to in the next couple of weeks?
We're going to Italy, which is going to be fantastic. We're going to be leaving the crack of dawn with a flight at 6. We're going to be then landing in Puglia, where we're going to pick the car up.
No, we're not landing in Puglia.
We're landing in Bari in Puglia.
Yeah, okay, well, that's exactly where we're landing. We're not landing in Puglia, we're landing in Bari.
Okay, we're landing
in
Bari.
Very separate places.
I think we've obviously got time to kill between then and checking in, so we're going to just potter around.
Oh my God, your routine is fucking...
take some photos of my very beautiful wife in her different ensembles.
which I need to.
She
should've
looks
got dry cleaned.
absolutely stunning
oh
in the
God.
dress for the wedding.
Oh
I
God, that
definitely
was a
think she's
process.
going to
Like it's not,
steal the show.
that's absolutely
Um,
not what we
especially
need to
if
hear.
you
I don't
wear,
want.
especially if you wear those heels.
No.
I'm not gonna lie, that
no.
really kind
Can
of
you
flipped
just-
a switch in me. There's
Well, you just
something
want me to
quite
go prance around in the
intimidating.
fucking heels.
There's
Quite
something
intimidating
intimidating
about me,
when
yeah.
you're
When
like
you're
3
shorter
inches.
than me.
Yeah, 3 inches. I feel like you're a mountain that I need to conquer.
That I don't know if that's a compliment because a mountain is shaped like
Yeah.
a dollop.
Yeah, but when you've got somebody that's like bigger and more, you know,
Then you're not helping here.
not bigger, but like
big-
taller,
taller is
then
the right
you just
word.
want to, you just want to conquer.
No, I just want to squash.
You want to squash. Like a little baby.
No, we're not wearing those heels though because you were too short in them. I just
I'm
felt
I feel like my mum's coming to pick me up from
oh,
school.
stop it! Especially when you're in your suit, do you know what I mean? Which you still haven't tried on to see if it fits, Mark.
I know. I'm just
Oh,
hoping.
God. Yeah, I hope so too because we've got zero time to sort this. We were meant to get the dry cleaning done and we haven't done that either.
Oh, we're absolutely terrible.
It's terrible at everything outside of working, pretty much, in the sense of going to the gym and eating okay. And actually, my routine's perfect. Okay, actually, I can't find much fault. So
No, your routine's actually pretty bang on. Can you just give us an Ashton Hall? Ashton, the really muscular
Oh yeah, the
man
guy.
that went insta famous for his routine. What's your routine?
To be quite honest with you, I don't really have time for the old camera lights, camera action. The only
No.
lights, camera action we're getting is the Lumi lamp. Do you know what I mean? Waking us up in the morning at fucking 3 a.m. telling us it's time to get up, and if you don't, you're going to be late for your fucking clients, you cretin.
Yeah.
And that is the most lighting that we can create at that time in the morning.
Mm.
If I actually have to think about creating a daily wellness routine vibe, do you know what I mean?
No, I'm not asking for that. I'm just saying, what is your routine?
I wake up really quite early.
Yeah.
Usually I probably need a wee,
Okay.
and then after I've gone for a wee, I'll go in the shower. I'll put
Yeah,
the tap on for the cat so he can drink from the tap whilst I'm in the shower.
He loves that.
He loves that, exactly that. I'll get out of the shower. I would have washed and blow dried my hair the night before, so then I re-blow dry it and just freshen it up because
Yeah.
no one's got time to fuck around with that at
Uh-huh.
like the time that we got. Come into the kitchen, you're busy trolloping around, do you know what I mean? Prancing and-
Trolloping?
Sorry, you called me a mountain, okay? There you go. And then from there I get my cup, my Stanley cup,
Yeah.
and I put my electrolytes and
I
my
love
creatine
those.
in it.
Yeah.
Ideally with ice, but we've run out of ice because everyone's fucking got the ice in the hot weather. And then I mix it with water, drink a little bit of that. You take the dogs downstairs. I pack my bag. It's the same routine of trying to fit it into a blessed Prada bag I should never have bought.
That's the most irritating
Because I thought it was the big size of the laptop. It's a very tight fit with a lot of organisation. It stresses me out. But look, we live and we learn. Nice bag though. It looks nice. Pack my bag, and then we come into a position where we pretty much get in the car and drive away.
And off we go
And then
down
I'm
the
literally
road.
dealing with a client either at 5 in the morning, literally, and then it's like good morning, and then off I go into my routine of
You're like Dora the Explorer around London.
literally, but I don't have the rucksack. I'm thinking about buying a rucksack, as you know. I have been in the process of looking for a rucksack, but if you know me personally, which most people don't because I don't really share this, I always like to buy designer handbags. It's been my thing from a young child, not because I was a pretentious brat, but I think I was always loved handbags. The element of organisation with a new bag or a wallet was just like my favourite thing. Now we've got no need for wallets. Like, what the fuck? I haven't got a wallet. It's annoying because I've got so many of them. But the
I used to love a good
bags-
wallet, too.
I loved a wallet. I used to reorganise it. The zips, the coins go here, and this goes there.
What was
and
the
my
first
gift
wallet you
cards.
had?
You what?
What was the first wallet you had? Mine was a Ninja Turtles one.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
It would have been one of those Velcro rip curl ones or something.
Oh yeah,
you
that's,
know what I
that
mean?
was a good one.
To be fair, quite secure with your money. At least you knew you were investing it properly.
Yeah, very good.
and yeah, I mean, handbags is something that I really like. So I won't buy a rucksack unless it's designer. I don't know what it is. I just have got. I will buy a Lululemon one maybe. I I I just don't think I suit a rucksack. I've got a lovely rucksack, but it's far too
It will cover up
premium.
your back gains.
Yeah, that's also a problem. Ops, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know, you
You've
can't be a
got
personal
very,
trainer
very
with that.
developed rhomboids and upper trapezius
It's just not very
muscles.
comfortable because when I try on a rucksack, it just feels like it's a bit too like I need to a bit like ugh, you know what I mean? I need to do a bit of a stretch forward with it, so I need to have a bit of room. Like with your rucksack, you
No, I think it would diminishes the look.
I just think the
It would
minute I put
diminish
that
your
on,
look
you could
because
look
you've
at
got
me
like
and
a
go
very,
trainer.
you've got a very like very aesthetic look to your
Yeah, I
kind
do.
of, and I don't think a rucksack would
I
complement
actually do
that.
have a very aesthetic look. Like
Yeah,
it's
because
it's a
you've got to present yourself to obviously the people that you got to present yourself to, and that's the thing. Like most personal trainers, because you're dealing with people with disposable income, depending on where you are in the geographical location, you're going to be mixing with some pretty influential individuals. And when you rock up and you look like you've been pulled out of a bush backwards and you stink, it is
you know
definitely
yeah.
not going to
You
be
need to brush your teeth or
cementing.
something. Like always have gum. Do you know what I mean?
You
It's not
gotta
chew it. You could just
have gum, you gotta have cologne, you gotta brush your hair, you
but not
gotta
too much cologne to might give the client
shave.
a
No,
headache.
no, obviously there's a very fine line, but because you're presenting yourself to essentially some, C-suite executives in one of the best hedge funds in the world, you got to look the certain part. And I think if you're rocked up in a
I would never. There's something about like just being
yeah,
like in
because
London
then when
lifestyle
the
that you
bag's on your back and it's you're in the tube maybe because you normally take it off, but then it's gonna get warm and then your back's gonna get moist.
then you might end up with back spots. Who knows when you've been around
No,
all these people in
you just got to
London.
get a better bag. That bag is too tight.
The thing is, though, it's not that. It's like I've got bigger bags, but then they're too big, and I don't want to treps around. Too big a bag is annoying because then you end up putting too many things in it, and then it's unable to manage, and then you end
Yeah,
up just trepsing around with a suitcase pretty much.
yeah.
So I've done that before. I literally walked around for like a
But
whole
maybe
year
that
with three
bag
hundred
will
pounds worth of
be.
coins in the bottom of my bag.
Oh,
Never
remember
forget
when
that.
we? I'll never forget
I used to when
that.
we used to get paid
When we
cash a
used,
lot.
and then we used to go to Metro Bank and we used to use that machine. What?
Yeah, and I used to pour all my coins in it, just literally
Fuck.
churn out. And there was one time I had
Oh,
three
oh
hundred
yeah.
pounds worth. Stop it!
Oh yeah, it was like 300. It was 350 something. Oh,
I was
just
carrying that around the whole
just
time.
tossed it in there.
Maybe
Oh,
that's my weight. That's why I've got developed upper body. So you just got to carry around your coins. Do you know what I mean?
oh my! When you first started in the industry, you were literally carrying so much shit in your hand. It was like kettlebell.
Oh no, don't.
All the shit
Yeah,
into
I
the
know.
park TRXs. Georgia was like quite literally
Oh, I know.
looking like you're going on
We,
an expedition.
I do think there's definitely room for that whole sort of like mobile PT on wheels situation where like we've seen it. We saw a guy develop like a gym in like a
Yeah.
mobile
It's
kind
so
of.
hard in London though because there's just nowhere to
Plus,
park.
also we
And
literally get fucked on parking in London. Yeah.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I just you wouldn't, and then somebody would complain, and then you'd get some
Yeah,
sort of
it's
crackhead
something,
coming in,
yeah.
and you know,
Oh
God,
my goodness.
it's just there's so many crackheads in London. There really is. Like you just don't know. Sometimes, okay, you'll be like, okay, this person looks normal, and then you just see something like
Shoes. You got to look
the
at the
shoes,
shoes.
like that, like one shoe's missing, and then suddenly maybe you look at
Shoes always give it
maybe you
away.
look at around the corners of their mouth. I know that sounds gross, but like you know
Then you
when
got the white
know
bits.
the white bits, you know, and you just think, oh dear. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you've had too much, your mouth is so dry, you need some hydration. And like you're probably only thinking about like fentanyl right now, but like Jesus, you know, it's not appropriate seeing that every day. Like every day we literally see people like shoot up drugs like straight out.
Oh
just
my
off his,
god! When the
it's
time I
so
came around the corner and
invasive.
that guy blew out, whenever he blew out, smoking out of a pipe, and went, it went literally in my face.
Yeah, and you're just like, shit, I've got to
Like,
go to work now. Do you know what I mean? That's my cologne for the day, a bit of fentanyl.
yeah, who knows?
Don't lie, you did kind of like
Oh,
quick quick little inhale and let's see what planet you're on. But then you realise, like, when you see these people sleeping in the weirdest positions, you wonder why. It's because they're just absolutely... But it is just, it's very invasive. Like, when you're... Like, I walk so fast that you would never catch me.
Never.
You'll never catch me.
No.
I double step every step.
That's the one
I
thing
walk
about
up
nitties. They
escalators.
haven't got, depending on what stage of nitty you encounter, they haven't got the best
speed.
They haven't got the best speed. A lot of them are like the gait cycles, very, early stance, just lots of ball and toe, no real propulsion, very little hip extension. They're really going to be struggle to open that gait cycle to a decent pace.
And when you've got the Reebok float zigs on, do you know what I mean? The cloud cloud like fucking
you start running.
And you start fucking, even going at a large stance walk, you've got no chance. That being said, there are some complete crackheads. I've had like guys get their dicks out on
Oh my
shoes.
god,
Horrible.
yes. That guy got his dick out in America as well.
And then I see a sign behind it that says,
we're
watching out for you, Met Police. I mean, it's like, are you? Because like literally this guy's waving his dick in front of me and it's 5 a.m. One cannot stomach this and I'm the only person here. Good. So I've got to go at that. So that's why it's beneficial looking the way that I do now. It's because you'll get people say, can I arm wrestle? That's what because that then you're...
It's just very tiresome though.
It's fucking exhausting. Do you know what I mean? That's why you don't listen to it. You just put your headphones in. But weird. Victoria should fix up, look sharp.
But even Victoria's been
Baker Street as well.
the height of crackheads since
Paddington's also really
your parents got engaged, and Victoria and your dad said that they were just loads of drunks and.
No, my dad got engaged. What was something about a newspaper? He bought a newspaper, something like that, and gave it to a homeless person. He gave something to a homeless person straight after he proposed.
Oh, what a nice guy, hey?
I know. He didn't even take a photo of them or something. They didn't have phones then, did they?
No, they definitely didn't.
One thing I would say, like, as we wrap this podcast up, is I just decided. Okay, I had a bit of a sickening. No, I haven't decided. I had a bit of a sickening realization. Okay, a lot of.
Oh, don't say it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to ruin everyone's day.
You're going to ruin everyone's day.
Everyone's day, but it's going to give you a bit of thought, a bit of a thought process.
Your
to
life
leave
is
with.
never going to change.
Okay.
They're never going to be the same.
So I have a brain that works at 65 miles per hour with lots of different ideas and lots of things I've got to do, okay? And I can get quite easily distracted because I'm quite obviously just a little bit little bit ADHD, bit of a tinge of the fact that I am ADHD, okay? A little bit of a tinge. Okay?
A slap.
A bit. Oh, thank you very much, Mark. Anyway, so
would you not consider medicating? Just a quick.
That is so fucking rude.
No, I'm just asking.
No, why would I medicate myself? I have streamlined this.
No, I'm just asking.
Do you think my ADHD is a fucking
No,
problem?
well, you just made it out to be a problem. Why'd you bring it up?
I'm saying reason why I downloaded certain things to ruin people's lives and what I'm about to tell you. So that's the reason why. Which means I can get quite easily distracted on things. And then I discovered an app called Opal, which was one of, I think, Apple's like most shortlisted like app developments of like last year, which puts them at a very big pedestal. And it's effectively to try and steal back your focus on things so that you don't get distracted. Because I've got a job which is like 50-50. A lot of the time I'm doing client communications online. I'm doing, like in a sense on my phone, like I'm on WhatsApp all the time with clients. And then also social media is also a part of the business, so that's stuff that we obviously have to share, and there's a responsibility for me to like show up and be me. So that can also end up where you're like obviously distracted and you can go down, just not get shit done because you're going down a million different rabbit holes online, or you're opening up different apps, or you not. So I downloaded this Opal app, which is to try and steal back your focus and effectively blocks you from going apps. It's not the same as those time things via Apple. It's actually like a really well developed app, which makes it fucking hard for you to get on these platforms once you've blocked them. Anyway, before I got going, they said on average, what's your screen time, okay? And they were giving the statistics. If your screen time was between 5 and 7 hours on a day-to-day basis, you would waste 40 years of your life on your phone. And I was like, 40 years at like 7 hours a day. And do you know how many people I know that are more like 8, 9, more than that, like in the sense of spend their life picking up their phone, looking at it, finding distractions. 40 fucking years. 40 years. I nearly threw up in the bucket I don't have. Like, I was like, that's literally half. I don't think in the life, what's the life expectation? Like something like late 70s? Is it?
Yeah.
So
For
half
women
of your
are
life.
women are higher, men are lower.
So, okay, you could look at the average, and I hope 80s. Do you know what I mean? That's
Women, I think, are 80.
But then all of my grandparents lasted till 90, but with the way the world's going, we've got no idea. So that's half your fucking life. Actually, more than a lot of half people's life on your phone. And then I just had a moment. I was like,
Yeah,
right,
it's
this is not okay.
But it almost makes you want to like never use your phone ever again,
It's like
which
anti
is
this. You're like this is, but which obviously
also logical.
I've blocked on certain things that I know can distract me a lot, and I've kept certain things that I'm not really that attracted to, like in a sense of like going on, and it's made an actually astounding difference just from doing it like a lot. And I would actually really encourage, like a lot of people say to us in the health and well-being and all the things is that they just don't have time, or this doesn't have time. I'm really sorry to say this, but you actually do have time. And like, we're all busy, we're all fucking busy all the time. Like, it's not cool not to be busy, it's like productivity, but you know, there's time being insanely wasted, and also like moments that you're missing as well, just not being present. Like, I'm just adamant, like I love photos. I've always loved taking photos and videos, and like there's something I like, and it's because actually I think you'll agree that like when we look back on things, I always have so many photos,
you do.
always
It's fantastic,
really nice,
yeah.
but not photos that then get instantly shared to Instagram, or like, you know, things that, you know, that go on social platforms. Like, actually just take photos and be a bit more present, because otherwise you end up just like literally doing fuck all with your life. Sorry, but like scrolling on your phone.
Yeah,
and that will take half the half of your life. And remember, phones only became this addictive in the last the last
couple of years,
5 years, maybe 4 or 5 years. They've become this addictive with this kind of ability, and so it's actually quite worrying, because it's not, well, for the younger generation that's a lot.
It's going to be way more for them.
I know, it's insane. 40 years. So just put that into context. When you're like 5-7 hours a lot, okay, you might do your emails, you might reply to messages, and okay, there's some things that can't give, you know, we have to do on our phones.
I would say that like, let's say if you've been on your phone for 6 hours, I would say quite confidently that the vast majority of those 6 hours for you are work. Because you would be...
I'd say 1 hour of that is definitely not work.
Okay,
like,
1 hour, but some of that is you
got
to
like take your phone, for example, like to the bathroom, and like, even if I'm going to the bathroom to like brush my teeth or like wash my face, like,
I know it's so gross.
Like, it's so
but there's so many. I've spoken to this with quite a few clients about how bad it's actually become.
But people are becoming like, and you're becoming, I think a lot of people are becoming more and more self-aware, because it's making people feel really anxious. Like, it's like that whole thing of like, I can't really live without my phone. Oh my God. Like the other day you forgot your phone.
I did, yeah.
But you had a pretty blessed day in the fact you don't need your phone for anything really.
To be fair, I never touch my phone when I'm with clients. And another PT red flag is a client, a PT that's on their phone.
Oh my God. That's, I think out of all of every...
That is a real no-no.
That's a real thing. Like, I know trainers who I've stood alongside in the same space being paid even more than I am, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Literally sat on their fucking phone.
Yeah.
And like, and just so unengaged. And also making the client count. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I've seen
some very influential people. I'm not going to say names, but very influential people in this industry that would literally just can't be arsed, sit on their phone, and the only time they engaged with client was when they filmed Snapchat. 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm with so and so, my girlie, and we're just doing some booty, and then it was just like, okay, 10 more of those. I'm just going to the toilet, then finish off with a warm down on the treadmill, and then go home.
Like, I don't eat in front of clients. Like, I've got clients that I've worked with, like, I can off the top of my head, years, like 8 years or so. Like, you know, like I will deal with, and I have done for literally 2-3 times a week for all of those years. But I still wouldn't like eat in front of them. I still like, of course, they're like, let's go for dinner. That's very different. I'm saying it's like, you're paying for a service. Do you know what I mean? You're paying for an experience. Like, the last thing you want to do is then make that about yourself. and just sit on your phone and just be so uninterested. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Like it's the reason why you can't, for example, why you can't drive and fucking be on your phone is because you're causing accidents, because you can't you're on the timer, timing somebody in a plank, that you are concentrating in the moment, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, PT red flags all over.
Definitely. I've got no time for it, and if we were to run an establishment, and a PT like that would get, 2 solid warnings, and then third warning, you're out the door.
But we have had, it's very hard. It's very hard.
I appreciate every, circumstances of like, my wife's about to give birth. I need to be more attentive. That's obvious. But when it's just mindless scrolling, then that person's got to go.
Yeah, but like my wife trying to give birth is like a once off. We're talking to people that literally are on their phones every session that the client comes in.
Jeez, we've seen some absolute shockers over the years, though, if you think about it.
Yeah, like PTs that also give their clients too much false motivation, and they end up just like snapping them in half. That's never, I mean, keep on pushing, you got it. Do you know what I mean? And suddenly the person's in A&E. Anyway.
Don't say that, because I've made that lady have rhabdominitis.
Oh no, Mark,
I trained her a bit too hard.
Red flag. There's a red flag, Mark.
Well, yeah, that was a red flag, and I listened to the client instead of using my own judgment, because I'm a people pleaser. When she said train me really hard, and I said I don't think that's a good idea, because you haven't done any formal exercise for 9 months. Let's have a gentle session, reintroduce mobility and blah blah blah. And she looked at me and said, if you don't train me as hard as physically possible, you're never going to see me ever again. So I was like, hold my beer.
You don't even drink, so what, you hold my fucking electrolytes?
Hold my electrolytes, my Humantra electrolytes.
Oh, we shouldn't even, I meant your electrolytes in the Stanley Cup. You don't have the Stanley Cup now, though, because
I've got a limited edition Ghost.
Yeah, why is that? Not because Mark bought it.
Because I'm a sponsored athlete.
You're a sponsored athlete, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Semi-professional shit talker.
Oh God. On that note, everyone, we'll see you or speak to you, or you'll hear from us after
Soon.
Bella Italia, where we're going to go and pretend that we can't speak the language and have a great time with our friends.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, hopefully with a tan as well. Au revoir.
Yes.
Shouldn't say
filled
that.
With filled with romance.
Ciao.
Italian romance.
Italian romance with your new wedding ring.
I
with
can't
some
wait.
dead corpse that you've just taken that ring off.
Someone's
of.
grandfather.
Oh no, don't. Oh, it's. Oh.
Hopefully he was prosperous and he'll bring me some good vibes.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
If my personality starts to change, you need to call a priest to exercise me.
Oh God, Mark, this is another one of your tangents. Enough. Enough now, everyone. Goodbye.